Hello, my beautiful YouTube family. Excuse me. I'm a little tired. I've been driving all night. So I did fire signs and earth sign legend. Now I'm going to read the air sign, the legend of the air sign inside of the zodiac. So, starting off with the legend behind each sign. In ancient times, the sky above us was seen as a giant hollow dome rising over a flat earth, much like an inverted teacup resting on a saucer. Later, this vision of the earth and the surrounding sky changed to that of a hollow sphere, like an enormous soap bubble with the globe of the earth in its center. The sun made a journey every year around the edge of the sky bubble. Within the space of 1 year, it made a complete circle. The path of the sun's circle around the earth is known as the ecliptic. This narrow band of the sun's path is the zodiac. The zodiac is a belt circling the earth, 60 degrees wide, 8 degrees above the ecliptic, and 8 degrees below the ecliptic, and 360 degrees around. Within this belt are contained the orbits of all the planets in our solar system, except Pluto, which has an extraordinarily wide path. Also, within this belt are stars, which the ancients arranged in patterns called constellations. To the early stargazers, most of these constellations look like animals, so this belt of constellation became known as the zodiac, from the Greek word zodiakia, meaning circle of animals. The zodiac is divided into 12 constellations with a name and each given the shape of an animal or figure. Using these constellations, the ancient astrologers named the 12 astrological signs. The zodiac belt may be imagined in the sense that it is a man made division of the heavens, but the stars within that belt are real. If you could simultaneously stand at various spots circling our globe, you would be able to see all 12 constellations in the sky at one time. These constellations were known long before Ptolemy categorized them in the textbook, and each constellation has a story handed down through the ancient myths. This folklore has become very much a part of our knowledge of astrological signs. Okay, so we're doing air signs. And the first air sign, I'm an air sign. My sun, rising, and other parts of my planet are air signs. So, Gemini is the first air sign, which is the twin. Okay, Gemini is the sign of the twin. It is the third sign of the zodiac and the first to have a human rather than an animal symbol. The myth of the twins, like that of the previous sign Taurus, also involves Jupiter and his eye for a pretty face. In this story, the object of his affections is a beautiful woman, Leda, married to Tyndareus, king of Sparta. The lustful god Jupiter, apparently unwilling to try the bull ploy twice, see Taurus. If you look back on the earth signs, they talked about it with the earth signs, because Taurus is an earth sign, changed himself into the form of a magnificent swan. So instead of him changing himself into a bull, now he's changed into a swan to seduce Leda. And the other woman name was Europia, and he changed it to a bull for her to seduce her. So from this remarkable union, Leda bore 2 eggs. Okay, story goes that one of the eggs was the offspring of Jupiter and that the other was the offspring of Leda's mortal husband. The 2 eggs produced 4 children, 2 brothers, Castor and Pollux, and 2 sisters, Helen of Troy and Clytemnestra. It was unclear exactly whom Jupiter sired. Some versions of the tale say that Castor and Pollux were his immortal offspring. Others have Castor and Helen as Jupiter's children. In either case, the twin brothers Castor and Pollux grew up strong and stalwart and inseparable. Castor became famous for his skill as a horse tamer. Pollux was renowned as a superb boxer. When they were young men, they joined Jason and his Argonautic Nagists on their expedition to find the Golden Fleece. During a storm at sea, 2 stars appeared over the heads of the twins, and the storm miraculously ended. Because of that incident, Castor and Pollux are considered the patron saints of travelers at sea. During storms at sea, these lights are still seen twinkling at the top of ships, masts, and other tall spires. They are caused by the discharge of electricity. The legend is that if 2 lights are seen, the storm will cease. If only one appears, the storm will grow worse. The twin brothers are described as high-spirited young men. Unfortunately, during a battle, Castor met his death. Pollux was inconsolable. At last, he went to his father, Jupiter, to beg him to bring Castor back to life. In turn, Pollux volunteered to give up his own life as ransom. Jupiter rewarded the brothers' great love and attachment to each other by placing them in the sky as stars. There they shine in the constellation of Gemini, side by side throughout the ages. Okay, so that was the air sign Gemini, represented by the twins, which is the 3rd zodiac sign. Okay, and the next air sign is Aquarius, the water barrier, the 11th sign of the zodiac, has as its symbol the water barrier, a human figure carrying a jar or receptacle from which water pours out in a stream. The symbol of the water barrier goes back to both Egyptian and Babylonian religion. In Egypt, the water barrier was the god Hap, the personification of the river Nile. Hap carried 2 vases of water, which represented both the south and the north Nile, and was considered the sustainer of life. All living things would die without the waters of Hap. In Greek literature, the constellation of Aquarius was called the water pourer, and is sometimes thought to represent the god Jupiter, who at a command causes the waters to pour from heaven. It also commemorates Deucalion, the only man to come through the great flood unharmed. At the beginning of creation, gods and humanity lived in harmony during an era called the Golden Age. The earth produced food without people having to till the soil. The waters flowed with wine and honey. Then Pandora opened her box of evils, and plagues and sickness of the mind and body were released on earth. The great god Jupiter looked down and decided to rid the world of people and create a new race worthier of life. With the help of his brother Neptune, Jupiter covered the earth with water. Only 2 people were saved: Deucalion and his wife Pyria, who were both just and pious, and who worshipped the gods of faithfully. They took refuge on Mount Parnassus, and when Jupiter saw them, he remembered their exemplary lives. He caused the waters to recede and the earth to dry up. Then Deucalion and Pyra were commanded to cast the bones of their mother behind them. Deucalion interpreted the bones of his mother to mean the stones of the earth, and he and Pyria began to pick up stones and cast them behind themselves as they walked. These stones slowly turned into human beings. The one Deucalion threw became men, and the stones Pyria threw became women. Thus, Deucalion became the father of a new race of mankind. So that's the legend behind the sign Aquarius, which is the 11th sign of the zodiac. Okay, so now Libra, I'm a Libra, and I passed over it. It must have been meant for me to okay, so Libra, okay, the legend behind Libra, the scales. Okay, Libra is the 7th astrological sign, and the only one to have a symbol that is neither animal nor human. The scales represent balance and justice, harmony, and equilibrium. Like the previous sign, Virgo, Libra is associated with the harvest. For in ancient times, grains and crops were weighed on scales after they were harvested. The scales also have a more profound symbolism. They are the scales of judgment for the dead, where souls are weighed. In Egyptian religion, the scales of judgment were the sole province of the god Anubis, conductor of souls. Anubis, who had the head of a jackal, guided the dead through the underworld and made sure they were weighed fairly. He was the master of the balance, the scale. There is in existence a painting called Papyrus of Ani, dated around 1500 BC, that shows a judgment scene. Anubis is crouching by a large scale, weighing the heart of a dead person. In one bowl of the scales rests the heart. In the other bowl, truth sits, symbolized by a feather. In this depiction, the scale is equally balanced. In Egyptian religion, the dead heart or soul had to be in harmony with truth before it can pass into the afterlife. The scales have also long been associated with the concept of justice and the law. We have all seen statues of the embodiment of justice. She is a woman who is blindfolded and who holds the scale in her hands. The scales are the symbol of impartiality, of rendering to each person his or her rightful due. In Greek mythology, justice was represented by the goddess Themis, mother of Astrea. See Virgo. Themis and her daughter Astrea are the constellations of Libra and Virgo, who shine side by side in the firmament. The legend is that when the human race finally reaches its golden age, Themis, symbolizing justice, and her daughter, symbolizing innocence, will return to Earth. So that was the legend behind the Libra scale, and I'm a Libra. I represent Libra to the fullest. So that's the air signs, the legend behind the air signs. I would like it if you guys would please like, share, and subscribe, and try to get me 50 subscribers, please, so we can go live. Okay, you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful life. Be good. Be good to yourself and be good to others. Mwah. Love you.